Radical Self-Discipline, the blueprint to mastering your internal compass. A motivational audiobook by the Protocols of Astrian. Before we start, if you ever feel like you are walking through fog alone, hit subscribe and let these audiobooks be your quiet companion through every season. Welcome, friend. You are holding more than just a book or a collection of words on a page. You are holding a key that can unlock a version of yourself you have always suspected was hiding just beneath the surface. Maybe you have started things before and never finished them. Maybe you have big dreams that feel foggy and far away, like a mountain peak you can see but cannot figure out how to climb. That is okay. That is exactly where you are supposed to be right now. This audiobook is not about turning you into a robot who follows strict rules and feels nothing. It is about something much bigger and much more exciting. It is about waking up the powerful force inside you that already knows what is right for you. That force is your internal compass, and right now it might feel a little buried under the noise of daily life, old habits, and the opinions of everyone around you. Radical self-discipline is the tool you will use to dig it out, clean it off, and let it guide you toward a life that feels truly yours. We are going to go on a journey together through these pages, and I promise you it will not feel like a boring school lesson. We are going to laugh at the silly excuses our brains make. We are going to get real about why we sometimes choose the couch over the gym and the scroll over the sleep. We are going to celebrate the tiny victories and learn how to handle the stumbles without falling into a pit of guilt. By the time we reach the final chapter, you will not just understand discipline in your head. You will feel it in your bones. You will have built a new way of moving through the world, one where you are in the driver's seat and your dreams are not just wishes you make on birthday candles. They become destinations you are actively traveling toward. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and get ready to meet the most powerful person you will ever know. The person you are about to become. Chapter 1. Why your brain plays tricks on you and how to laugh about it. Have you ever had a day where you knew exactly what you needed to do, but somehow you ended up doing absolutely nothing about it? You sat down to work on that important project, and suddenly, you remembered you absolutely had to organize your sock drawer right that second. This is not a sign that you are lazy or broken. This is actually a sign that your brain is working exactly how it was designed to work thousands of years ago. Back in the caveman days, your brain's main job was to keep you safe from tigers and starvation, and it did that by saving energy whenever possible. Running after a goal that might not pay off for months or years feels dangerous to that ancient part of your mind. It wants you to stay in your cave, eat the food you have, and not take any risks. So when you try to do something hard, your brain throws up all kinds of distractions and excuses to pull you back to safety. It whispers that you can start tomorrow, that you are too tired, or that the project is not really that important anyway. The funny thing is, these tricks are often pretty predictable and even a little silly once you learn to spot them. There is the classic trick where you suddenly become a perfectionist and decide you cannot start until conditions are absolutely ideal. There is the trick where you convince yourself that you work better under pressure, so you purposely wait until the last minute. There is even the trick where you compare your beginning to someone else's middle, and you feel so discouraged that you give up entirely. These are not original thoughts your brain is having. They are the same tired scripts that play in the minds of almost every human being on the planet. When you can step back and see these tricks for what they are, just old survival programs running in the background, they lose their power over you. You can almost smile and say, "Oh, there you are again, you clever little brain trying to keep me safe in my comfortable cave. But I see you now, and I am choosing to move forward anyway." Laughing at these tricks is actually one of the most powerful tools you have. When you take yourself too seriously and get angry at yourself for procrastinating, you create a cycle of shame that makes you want to escape even more. You end up scrolling on your phone for 3 hours just to get away from the bad feeling of having not started your work. But when you can look at your behavior with a little bit of humor, you break that cycle. You release the tension. You remind yourself that you are human and that your brain is just doing its job a little too well. That moment of lightness gives you just enough space to make a different choice. It turns the battle inside your head into something more like a friendly game where you know all the opponent's moves ahead of time. The goal here is not to eliminate these thoughts entirely, because that is impossible. The goal is to stop believing everything you think. Just because a thought pops into your head does not mean it is true or that you have to obey it. You can notice the thought that says you are too tired to exercise, and you can simply thank it for its opinion and then put on your sneakers anyway. You can notice the thought that says this work is too hard, and you can agree with it while opening your laptop and typing one sentence. You become the observer of your mind rather than a puppet controlled by every passing whim. This shift is where your power begins to grow. It is the foundation upon which we will build everything else in this book. Think of your mind like a radio that is always playing. For most of your life, you have just been dancing to whatever song came on, whether it was a motivational anthem or a sad country tune about giving up. Now you are learning that you actually have a hand on the dial. You get to choose which station to listen to. You get to turn down the volume on the fear and the excuses. You get to tune into the frequency of your deeper goals and your higher self. The static will still be there sometimes, crackling in the background, but you no longer have to let it ruin your whole day. You can simply turn up the signal of what matters most and let the rest fade away. So as we move through this book together, I want you to start paying attention to the tricks your particular brain likes to play. Become a detective of your own mind. Notice when you reach for your phone during a hard task. Notice when you suddenly feel hungry right as you sit down to work. Notice when you tell yourself you will do it later. Just notice, without judgment and maybe even with a little smile. Because every time you catch a trick, you are waking up. You are becoming more conscious. You are taking the first step toward mastering the inner world, so you can finally build the outer life you have been dreaming about. Chapter 2: Finding Your True North. What do you actually want? Before we can talk about discipline and how to build it, we have to answer a question that most people never really stop to consider. What do you actually want? Not what your parents want for you, not what your friends are doing, not what Instagram tells you a successful life should look like. What does your soul genuinely crave when no one else is watching? This might feel like a harder question than it sounds because we have spent so many years absorbing the wants of others. We have been told since we were kids that we should want good grades, a stable job, a nice house, and a certain number of followers. But deep down, underneath all that noise, there is a quieter voice that has its own ideas. That voice is your internal compass, and it has been trying to get your attention for a very long time. The problem is that most of us are running so fast and so loud that we cannot hear that quiet voice at all. We fill every spare moment with podcasts, music, texts, and notifications. We are terrified of silence because silence might force us to sit with ourselves and ask the hard questions. But finding your true north requires you to slow down and listen. It might require you to take a walk without your headphones or to sit with a journal and let the pen move without planning what to write. It might feel awkward at first, like meeting a stranger who turns out to be you. But the more you practice listening, the clearer that inner voice becomes. It starts as a whisper and eventually grows into a guide you can trust with your whole life. One way to start this process is to think back to what excited you as a child before the world told you what was practical. Did you love building things with blocks? Did you lose yourself in drawing for hours? Did you organize your friends into teams and lead them on adventures? These early passions are not just random childhood hobbies. They are clues pointing toward your natural strengths and deepest joys. Somewhere along the way, you might have decided those things were silly or that you could not make money doing them. But the energy behind them, the feeling of being completely alive and absorbed, that is the feeling we are trying to get back. That feeling is your compass pointing toward true north. Another powerful question to ask yourself is what you would do if you knew you could not fail. This question cuts through all the practical concerns and fears that hold us back. It allows your imagination to run free and show you a vision of life that actually excites you. Maybe you would start a business that helps people. Maybe you would write a book. Maybe you would move to a new city or learn to play the guitar. Whatever comes to mind, write it down without editing it. Do not judge it as unrealistic or silly. Just capture it. These dreams are valuable data points. They show you the direction your heart wants to travel, even if the path seems unclear right now. You do not need to know exactly how you will get there yet. You just need to know which way is north. It is also important to notice what makes you feel jealous, because jealousy is often just a pointer to something we secretly want for ourselves. When you see someone else achieving something and you feel that little twinge of envy, do not push it away. Get curious about it. What exactly are they doing that you wish you were doing? What does their life have that you wish yours had? This feeling is not something to be ashamed of. It is a signal from your internal compass telling you that something matters to you more than you have admitted. Use that signal as fuel. Let it clarify your vision. Let it remind you that you are allowed to want big things for your life, and that wanting them is the first step toward making them real. So for the rest of this chapter, and really for the rest of this book, I want you to give yourself permission to want what you want without apology. You do not have to justify your dreams to anyone. You do not have to make them sound practical or reasonable. You just have to be honest with yourself. When you know what you truly want, discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like devotion. It becomes the natural expression of love for your own future self. It becomes the bridge between where you are and where you desperately want to be. And that bridge is built one step at a time, starting right now, with a clear vision of your true north shining in the distance. Chapter 3: The 5-Second Rule, Kicking Fear in the Face. There is a tiny window of time between having an instinct to act and talking yourself out of it, and that window is only about 5 seconds long. In those 5 seconds, something magical can happen if you move fast enough. You can get out of bed before your brain lists all the reasons to stay under the warm covers. You can raise your hand in a meeting before the fear of looking stupid freezes you. You can introduce yourself to a stranger before the awkwardness convinces you to stay silent. But if you hesitate, if you let those 5 seconds pass, your brain jumps in with all its protective tricks and shuts the whole thing down. It reminds you that you are tired, that you might fail, that it is safer to just stay put. The 5-second rule is a simple tool that helps you beat your own brain at its own game. The rule works like this. As soon as you have an impulse to do something that moves you toward your goal, you count backward from 5 to 1 and then you physically move. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. The counting distracts your brain just long enough to interrupt the cycle of overthinking. It snaps you out of your head and into your body. It turns a thought into an action before fear can catch up. This is not some mystical theory. This is a proven technique used by people all over the world to break free from procrastination and anxiety. It works because it is simple, and because it bypasses the part of your brain that loves to make excuses. It connects your intention directly to your body and gets you moving forward. Think about all the times you have talked yourself out of something good. You thought about going for a run, and then you started negotiating with yourself about the weather and your shoes and how you would do it tomorrow instead. You thought about speaking up in a conversation, and then you worried about saying the wrong thing and stayed quiet. You thought about starting that creative project, and then you convinced yourself you needed more research first. In every single one of those moments, the 5-second rule could have saved you. If you had just moved before the thinking started, you would already be running, already talking, already creating. The rule is not about making the perfect choice. It is about making any choice that keeps you from staying stuck. This rule also helps you build something called activation energy. In physics, activation energy is the initial push needed to start a chemical reaction. In your life, it is the initial push needed to start any task. Once you are moving, once you are actually doing the thing, it becomes much easier to keep going. The hardest part is always the beginning. The 5-second rule helps you blast through that beginning before your brain can put up walls. It turns you into someone who acts first and thinks second, at least when it comes to the simple stuff. You can still think carefully about the big decisions, but for the daily actions that build your future, speed is your friend. The beautiful thing about this tool is that you can practice it immediately, right now in this moment. You can use it to get up and get a glass of water. You can use it to close a distracting tab on your computer. You can use it to send an email you have been putting off. Every time you use it, you are strengthening a new neural pathway. You are teaching your brain that when you count down, action follows. You are building a habit of courage. And over time, this habit becomes so automatic that you do not even have to think about it. You just become the kind of person who moves toward what they want without getting tangled up in hesitation and doubt. So starting today, I want you to become obsessed with that 5-second window. Pay attention to the moments when your gut tells you to do something and your head starts arguing back. That is your signal to start the countdown. That is your moment of power. Do not let it slip away. Count backward, move your body, and watch how quickly your world begins to change. Fear hates movement. Fear thrives in stillness and overthinking. When you move, when you act, fear has to get out of the way. And you get to keep walking toward the life you are building, one 5-second countdown at a time. Chapter 4. Small Wins, Big Momentum. The Power of Atomic Habits. There is a common misunderstanding about success that causes a lot of people to give up way too soon. We tend to think that success requires one massive, heroic effort, one giant leap that changes everything overnight. We wait for the perfect moment to make a huge change, and when that moment never comes, we feel like failures. But the truth is much more encouraging and much more accessible. Real, lasting change happens through tiny, almost invisible actions repeated consistently over time. These tiny actions are like compound interest for your character. They seem small on any given day, but over months and years, they build into results that look almost magical to the outside world. This is the power of atomic habits, habits so small they seem laughable, but so powerful they can transform your entire life. Think about the difference between someone who reads one book a year and someone who reads just 10 pages a day. The daily reader might not feel like they are making progress on any given Tuesday, but after a year, they have finished several books. After 5 years, they have absorbed knowledge that sets them completely apart. The same principle applies to fitness, to learning an instrument, to building a business, or to improving any relationship. 1% better every day might not feel like much in the moment, but mathematically, it adds up to being 37 times better over the course of a year. You do not need to be twice as good tomorrow. You just need to be a tiny bit better than you were yesterday, and then do it again the next day. The reason most people fail at building habits is that they try to change too much too fast. They decide they are going to wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for an hour, run 6 miles, and eat nothing but kale, all starting on a Monday morning. This approach sets them up for failure because it requires superhero levels of willpower that no normal human possesses. When they inevitably crash and burn by Tuesday afternoon, they feel ashamed and conclude that they just do not have what it takes. But the problem was never their character. The problem was their strategy. They tried to build a skyscraper without laying a foundation. They tried to run a marathon without ever learning to jog around the block. Smarter approach is to start so small that it feels almost too easy. If you want to start exercising, commit to 1 push-up a day. If you want to start reading, commit to 1 page a day. If you want to start meditating, commit to 1 minute a day. The goal here is not the exercise itself, at least not at first. The goal is to show up every single day and build the identity of someone who follows through. Once you have established the habit of showing up, you can slowly increase the difficulty. 1 push-up becomes 5, becomes 10, becomes a full workout. But the habit of showing up comes first, and that habit is built on the foundation of ridiculously small commitments that your brain cannot argue with. Another key to making habits stick is to design your environment for success. If you want to play guitar more often, leave the guitar out in the middle of the living room where you cannot miss it. If you want to eat healthier, put the fruit on the counter and hide the junk food in a hard-to-reach cabinet. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow every morning. These tiny environmental tweaks make the good habit the path of least resistance. They stack the odds in your favor so you do not have to rely on willpower alone. Willpower is a limited resource that gets depleted throughout the day. But your environment is always there, quietly influencing your choices for better or worse. So stop putting pressure on yourself to change everything at once. Stop waiting for the big, dramatic transformation that never comes. Instead, look for the smallest possible action you can take right now that moves you in the right direction. Take that action and then do it again tomorrow. Trust the process. Trust that these tiny steps, repeated with consistency, will carry you further than you can currently imagine. The person you want to become is not built in a day. They are built one small win at a time, and every small win is a brick in the foundation of your new life. Chapter 5. Designing Your World for Victory. Have you ever noticed how much easier it is to eat cookies when they are sitting right there on the kitchen counter compared to when they are buried in the back of a high cabinet? Have you noticed how much harder it is to scroll on your phone when you leave it in another room while you work? These observations reveal a powerful truth about human behavior. Your willpower is not nearly as strong as your environment. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if your surroundings are set up for failure, you will fail almost every time. The good news is that you can flip this dynamic and use your environment as a secret weapon. You can design your world so that the disciplined choice becomes the easy choice, and the lazy choice becomes the hard choice. This starts with an honest look at the spaces where you spend your time. Look at your bedroom, your kitchen, your workspace, and even your car. What do these spaces encourage you to do? Do they encourage you to relax and snack, or do they encourage you to focus and create? If your desk is covered in clutter, your brain feels cluttered too, and you are less likely to sit down and do deep work. If your phone is always within arm's reach, your attention is constantly being pulled away by notifications and the temptation to check social media. Your environment is silently shaping your behavior every moment of every day, and most of the time, you do not even realize it is happening. Once you wake up to this fact, you can start making changes that have an immediate impact. One of the most powerful environmental changes you can make is to reduce the friction between you and your good habits. If you want to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes next to your bed the night before. If you want to pack a healthy lunch, prep the ingredients right after dinner so they are ready to grab. If you want to write every day, open your laptop to a blank document and close all other programs before you go to bed. When you wake up, the work is already waiting for you, and starting feels effortless. You have removed the barrier of having to set everything up, which is often the part where procrastination sneaks in. You have made the good habit the path of least resistance. At the same time, you want to increase the friction between you and your bad habits. This is the opposite strategy, and it is just as effective. If you want to watch less television, take the batteries out of the remote and put them in a drawer across the room. If you want to waste less time on your phone, delete the apps that suck you in, or at least log out of them so you have to type your password every time. If you want to stop snacking on junk food, simply stop buying it at the grocery store. If it is not in the house, you cannot eat it when a craving hits at 9 p.m. These small barriers might not stop you every single time, but they create enough friction to make you pause and think. And that pause is often all you need to make a better choice. Another layer of environmental design involves your digital world. Your phone and computer are environments too, and they are often designed by the smartest minds in the world to keep you hooked for as long as possible. You have to fight back. Turn off all non-essential notifications so your devices stop demanding your attention. Create a focused workspace on your computer with no distracting tabs open. Use website blockers during your deep work hours. Curate your social media feeds so they inspire you rather than drain you. Your attention is the most valuable resource you have, and you must protect it fiercely from the armies of distraction that are constantly trying to steal it. When you take the time to design your world for victory, something incredible happens. You stop having to fight with yourself all day long. You stop exhausting your willpower on 1,000 tiny decisions. The structure you have built carries you forward automatically, and you can save your mental energy for the things that truly matter. You become the architect of your own life rather than a victim of your surroundings. And that feeling of moving effortlessly toward your goals, supported by an environment that has your back, is one of the most peaceful and powerful feelings in the world. Chapter 6. Talking to yourself like a champion. There is a conversation happening in your head right now, and it has been playing continuously for your entire life. It is the voice that comments on everything you do, everything you feel, and everything that happens to you. For most people, this voice is not very kind. It points out your mistakes, compares you to others, and predicts your failure before you even try. It tells you that you are not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough to go after what you want. This voice feels like it is telling you the truth, like it is just being realistic. But the reality is that this voice is often lying to you, and those lies are the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you deserve to live. The way you talk to yourself matters more than almost anything else. It shapes your self-image, which shapes your actions, which shapes your results. If you constantly tell yourself that you are lazy, you will act lazy to stay consistent with that identity. If you tell yourself that you always give up, you will find a way to prove yourself right. But if you start telling yourself a different story, if you start talking to yourself like someone you love and believe in, your actions will slowly shift to match that new story. This is not about fake positive thinking or pretending problems do not exist. It is about choosing to be on your own team instead of working against yourself. It is about becoming your own biggest fan and your own most trusted coach. Think about how you would talk to a dear friend who came to you with a dream. Would you tear them down and list all the reasons they might fail? Would you remind them of every past mistake and tell them to be realistic? Of course you would not. You would encourage them. You would remind them of their strengths. You would tell them that failure is just part of the journey and that you believe in them completely. So why do you not offer that same kindness to yourself? Why do you hold yourself to a harsher standard than you would ever apply to someone you care about? This double standard is a habit, and like any habit, it can be broken. You can learn to become a friend to yourself instead of a harsh critic. The first step is simply to notice the voice without automatically believing it. When that critical thought pops up, you can pause and ask yourself a simple question. Would I say this to someone I love? If the answer is no, then you know the thought is not true. It is just an old recording playing in your head, a leftover from past experiences or things other people have said to you. You do not have to fight the thought or argue with it. You can just notice it, label it as an unhelpful thought, and let it float away like a cloud passing through the sky. You can then choose to replace it with a thought that actually serves you, a thought that moves you forward rather than holding you back. Another powerful technique is to develop a few go-to phrases that you can use when the inner critic gets loud. These are like mantras or affirmations, but they do not have to be fancy or spiritual. They can be simple, practical statements that remind you of your power. When you feel like giving up, you can tell yourself, I am the kind of person who finishes what they start. When you feel afraid, you can tell yourself, courage is not the absence of fear, it is acting in the presence of fear. When you make a mistake, you can tell yourself, this is just data, not a disaster, and I will learn from it and keep going. These phrases might feel awkward at first, but the more you repeat them, the more they sink into your subconscious and become part of your inner dialogue. Over time, this practice changes everything. You stop dreading your own thoughts. You stop being your own worst enemy. You start to feel a sense of companionship with yourself, a feeling that no matter what happens out in the world, you have an inner ally who has your back. This inner support system gives you the strength to take risks, to handle criticism, and to keep going when things get hard. You become someone who can weather any storm because you know you will always be there for yourself, speaking words of encouragement and belief. And that is a kind of power that no one can ever take away from you. Chapter 7: The Art of the No, Protecting Your Energy. Your time and your energy are the two most precious resources you have, and unlike money, you cannot earn more of them once they are spent. Every hour that passes is gone forever. Every bit of mental focus you give to something is energy you cannot give to something else. This might sound a little intense, but it is the truth, and understanding it deeply changes how you approach your life. If you want to build something great, if you want to master your internal compass and follow it toward your true north, you have to become fiercely protective of your time and energy. You have to learn the art of saying no. And for most of us, this is a very hard skill to develop. We are raised to be polite, to help others, to say yes to opportunities, and to avoid letting people down. These are good values in many ways, but they become dangerous when they cause us to say yes to things that drain us and distract us from our real goals. We say yes to meetings that could have been emails. We say yes to hanging out with people who leave us feeling exhausted. We say yes to projects that do not excite us, just because we are afraid of missing out or hurting someone's feelings. And slowly, without even realizing it, we fill our lives with so many obligations that there is no room left for the things that actually matter to us. We become busy, but not productive. We become popular, but not peaceful. The art of saying no is really about saying yes to something more important. Every time you turn down an invitation that does not serve you, you are saying yes to your own priorities. Every time you decline a request that would drain your energy, you are saying yes to your own well-being. Every time you protect your focus from a distraction, you are saying yes to your own dreams. This reframing is crucial because it takes the guilt out of the word no. You are not being mean or selfish. You are being intentional. You are choosing to invest your limited resources in the things that truly matter. And that is one of the most responsible and mature things you can do. Learning to say no gracefully is a skill you can practice. You do not have to be rude or offer long explanations. A simple, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I cannot commit to that right now," is usually enough. If people push for more details, you can gently repeat that you have other priorities at the moment. You will be surprised how often people accept a simple, polite no without any issue. The fear of their reaction is usually worse than the reaction itself. And the people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries. They will understand that you are protecting your time, and they will appreciate your honesty more than they would appreciate a resentful yes. This protection also applies to the digital world. You have to say no to the endless notifications, the addictive apps, and the constant stream of information that demands your attention. You have to say no to the urge to check your email every 5 minutes or to scroll through social media whenever you have a spare second. These digital distractions are like tiny leaks in your energy bucket, and over the course of a day, they drain you dry. By saying no to them, by setting boundaries with your devices, you reclaim huge amounts of mental space that you can use for deep thinking, creative work, and real connection with the people around you. So take an inventory of your life right now. Where are you saying yes when you really want to say no? What obligations are draining you without giving anything back? What distractions are stealing your focus? Start small. Practice saying no to one thing this week that does not align with your priorities. Notice how it feels to have that extra time and energy for yourself. Notice how it feels to be in control of your own schedule. This is your life, and every yes and every no is a brushstroke painting the picture of your future. Make sure you are the one holding the brush. Chapter 8: Falling down is the plan, getting up is the win. Here is a promise I can make to you with absolute certainty. If you commit to this path of radical self-discipline, if you start aiming higher and pushing harder, you will fail. You will have days when you break your streak. You will have weeks when you fall back into old habits. You will make mistakes, poor choices, and outright messes. This is not a possibility. This is a guarantee. And knowing this ahead of time is actually one of the most freeing and helpful things you can learn. Because if you expect perfection, Every slip-up feels like a disaster that proves you are not good enough. But if you expect stumbles, if you build them into your plan, then they become just a normal part of the journey, nothing to panic about and nothing to quit over. The difference between people who eventually succeed and people who stay stuck is almost never about how many times they fall. It is about how quickly they get back up. The person who quits is not the person who fails the most. The person who quits is the person who takes one failure and turns it into a permanent identity. They miss one workout and decide they are lazy. They eat one unhealthy meal and decide their diet is ruined. They have one unproductive day and decide they will never get their act together. This is called the all-or-nothing trap, and it has destroyed more dreams than simple laziness ever could. The key to escaping this trap is to separate the event from the identity. A failure is something you did, not something you are. When you stumble, the most important moment is the very next choice you make. That moment is where your future is decided. You can choose to spiral into shame and guilt, telling yourself that you have ruined everything and might as well give up for the rest of the day or week or month. Or you can choose to treat the stumble as a small piece of data, a reminder that you are human, and then immediately get back on track. If you miss a Monday workout, you can still work out on Tuesday. If you eat a slice of cake, you can still eat a healthy dinner. One bad choice does not have to ruin your whole day unless you let it. The magic is in the recovery, not the perfection. Think of yourself as a GPS in a car. When you are driving toward a destination and you make a wrong turn, what does the GPS do? Does it shut down and announce that you are a failure and will never reach your destination? Of course not. It simply recalculates the route and gives you new directions from exactly where you are. It does not waste time judging you for the wrong turn. It just focuses on getting you back on course. You need to become your own GPS. When you mess up, pause, take a breath, and recalculate. Do not waste hours or days beating yourself up. Just figure out the next right move and take it. The destination is still waiting for you. Another helpful way to think about failure is as tuition for a class on success. Every mistake you make is teaching you something valuable about yourself, your strategies, or your environment. Maybe you learned that you cannot rely on willpower alone and need to change your surroundings. Maybe you learned that you were aiming too high too fast and need to start smaller. Maybe you learned that a certain time of day is harder for you and you need to adjust your schedule. These are not failures. These are insights. You are paying for them with your experience, so make sure you collect the lesson. Ask yourself what you can learn from the stumble, and then use that knowledge to build a stronger strategy for next time. So let go of the idea that you have to be perfect. Let go of the shame that comes when you are not. Embrace the truth that you are a human being on a journey, and that journey includes bumps in the road. Your goal is not to avoid every bump. Your goal is to keep driving. It is to get back up one more time than you fall. It is to forgive yourself quickly and move forward with wisdom you did not have before. That resilience, that stubborn commitment to keep going no matter what, is the real secret to mastering your internal compass and building a life you are proud of. Chapter 9. Making Patience Your Superpower. We live in a world that has trained us to expect everything instantly. We can stream any movie in seconds, get almost any product delivered to our door by tomorrow, and receive replies to our messages before we even put our phones down. This constant speed has warped our sense of time, especially when it comes to personal growth. We want to lose the weight in a week, learn the skill in a month, and build the business in a year. When results do not come that fast, we get discouraged and assume we are doing something wrong. We give up just before the breakthrough was about to happen. We quit because we forgot that the most valuable things in life take time, and that patience is not just a nice virtue, it is an actual superpower. Think about how a tree grows. You plant a tiny seed, water it, and give it sunlight. For a long time, nothing seems to happen above the ground. But underneath the soil, roots are spreading, reaching deep into the earth to create a foundation strong enough to support the massive tree that will one day stand there. If you dug up the seed every week to check on its progress, you would kill it. The growth was happening, you just could not see it. The same is true for you. When you are working on yourself, when you are building new habits and pursuing big goals, most of the growth happens underground. It happens in your subconscious, in your character, in the neural pathways of your brain. You cannot see it, but it is happening and it is essential. The danger is that we let our impatience convince us that nothing is happening, so we stop doing the work. We stop watering the seed. And then, of course, nothing grows. This is why patience is not passive. Patience is not just sitting around waiting for things to happen. Patience is the active choice to keep doing the right things, day after day, even when you cannot see the results yet. It is trusting the process even when the process is invisible. It is knowing that every page you read, every workout you complete, every healthy meal you eat, and every disciplined choice you make is adding a layer to your foundation. The visible results will come when that foundation is strong enough to hold them. One way to cultivate patience is to shift your focus from the outcome to the process. Instead of obsessing over the weight you want to lose, fall in love with the feeling of moving your body. Instead of staring at the empty page of the book you want to write, fall in love with the act of putting one word after another. When you enjoy the process, you do not need immediate results to feel satisfied. The satisfaction is built into the daily action. You are already winning because you showed up. You are already succeeding because you are becoming the person who does the work. The outcome becomes a bonus, a natural byproduct of a life lived with intention. Another helpful practice is to look back at how far you have already come. We are so focused on the gap between where we are and where we want to be that we forget to appreciate the gap between where we started and where we are. Take a moment right now to think about yourself 1 year ago, or even 5 years ago. What struggles did you have then that you have now overcome? What did you not know that you now understand? What skills did you not have that you now possess? You have already grown more than you realize, and that growth happened through the patient accumulation of days. The same patience that got you here will carry you forward to places you cannot yet imagine. So breathe, slow down, give yourself permission to take the long view. Plant your seeds, water them daily, and trust that the harvest will come in its own time. Do not compare your behind-the-scenes work to someone else's highlight reel. Do not let the speed of modern life convince you that you are falling behind. You are exactly where you need to be, and every patient step you take is bringing you closer to the person you are meant to become. Patience is not waiting. Patience is growing. And you are growing right now, whether you feel it or not. Chapter 10. The Focus Muscle, Building Your Deep Work Strength. Imagine for a moment that your attention is like a beam of light. When that light is scattered, bouncing all over the room, it barely illuminates anything. But when you focus that same light into a single, narrow beam, it becomes a laser. And a laser can cut through steel. This is the difference between scattered attention and deep focus. When your mind is jumping from email to notification to conversation to random thought, you are spreading your light so thin that you cannot make a real impact on anything. But when you learn to focus that light on one thing for an extended period, you develop the power to do work that is truly exceptional. You develop the ability to solve hard problems, create meaningful things, and move your life forward in ways that scattered attention never could. The problem is that our modern world is specifically designed to scatter your attention. Every app, every website, every notification is fighting for a piece of your focus. They want to pull you away from your deep work and into their shallow pools of distraction. And most people have surrendered without even realizing it. They have accepted that their attention will be fractured, that they will never be able to concentrate for more than a few minutes at a time. But this is not a permanent condition. Your ability to focus is like a muscle, and like any muscle, it can be trained and strengthened. It might be weak right now from lack of use, but with the right exercises, it can become powerful and reliable. The first step in building this muscle is to create blocks of time where distraction is simply not an option. You start with a small block, maybe just 15 or 20 minutes, and you commit to working on one single task during that time. You turn off your phone, close all unnecessary tabs on your computer, and put on headphones if it helps. During that block, if your mind wanders, you gently bring it back to the task. You do not judge yourself for wandering. You just notice it and return to the work. This is like doing a bicep curl for your attention. Every time you bring your mind back, you are strengthening the muscle. Over time, you can increase the length of these blocks, building up to 30 minutes, then an hour, then even longer. Another key to deep work is to protect these blocks with everything you have. Treat them as non-negotiable appointments with your future self. If someone tries to interrupt you during your focus block, you politely tell them you are unavailable and will get back to them later. If a notification pops up, you ignore it. If your own mind tries to pull you toward a distraction, you remind yourself that this time is sacred. The world will not end if you are unreachable for an hour. In fact, the world will be better off because you will be producing work that matters. You are giving yourself permission to be unavailable, and that permission is essential for doing anything of real value. It is also helpful to understand that your focus muscle gets tired the more you use it, just like any other muscle. This is why the most productive people often do their deepest work early in the day, before their focus has been depleted by meetings and decisions and small tasks. Pay attention to your own energy rhythms. When are you naturally most alert and clear-headed? For most people, it is in the morning, a few hours after waking. Protect that time fiercely. Do not fill it with email or social media. Fill it with your most important work, the work that requires your full laser beam. Save the shallow stuff for later in the day when your focus muscle is already tired. Finally, remember that deep work is not just about getting more done. It is about getting the right things done at a higher level. It is about experiencing the state of flow, where you are so absorbed in what you are doing that time seems to disappear. This state is deeply satisfying, even joyful. It is the opposite of the frantic, scattered feeling that most people experience all day. When you build your focus muscle, you are not just becoming more productive. You are opening the door to a more peaceful, more engaged, and more fulfilling way of living. You are reclaiming your mind from the forces that want to keep it fractured, and you are using it to build something that truly matters. Chapter 11. Using discomfort as a fuel source. There is a natural human instinct to avoid discomfort. We seek warmth when we are cold, food when we are hungry, and rest when we are tired. This instinct kept our ancestors alive in a harsh world, and it is still operating in us today. But in the modern world, this same instinct has become a trap. We avoid the discomfort of a hard workout, so we stay weak. We avoid the discomfort of a difficult conversation, so our relationships stay shallow. We avoid the discomfort of starting a challenging project, so our dreams stay on the shelf. We have become so good at avoiding discomfort that we have forgotten something essential. Discomfort is not the enemy. Discomfort is the sign that you are growing. Discomfort is the price of admission to a better life. Think about what happens when you go to the gym and lift weights. You feel a burning sensation in your muscles. That burning is discomfort, and it is actually a sign that your muscles are being challenged. It is the signal that they are breaking down so they can rebuild stronger. If you never felt that burn, if you only did easy exercises, your muscles would never grow. The same principle applies to every area of your life. The discomfort you feel when you wake up early, when you push through a hard task, when you have an honest conversation, when you face a fear, that discomfort is the burn of growth. It is the signal that you are becoming more than you were yesterday. The problem is that we have been taught to interpret discomfort as a sign to stop. We think that if something feels bad, we must be doing something wrong. But this is backwards. When you are pursuing something meaningful, the bad feelings are often the very proof that you are on the right track. The resistance you feel is the weight you are lifting. The fear you feel is the barrier you are breaking through. The exhaustion you feel is the edge you are pushing past. If you can reframe discomfort as feedback, as evidence of progress, then you stop running from it and start leaning into it. You start to see it as a friend who is guiding you toward your potential. This does not mean you should seek pain for its own sake or ignore real danger. It means you should get curious about your discomfort. When you feel like quitting, pause and ask yourself why. Is it because you are genuinely hurt or because you are just uncomfortable? Is it because the task is truly impossible or because your brain is trying to protect you from the unfamiliar? Most of the time, you will realize that the discomfort is just the natural friction of growth. It is not a stop sign. It is a challenge to keep going. And when you keep going, when you push through that discomfort, you send a powerful message to your brain. You tell it that you are stronger than it thought, that you can handle more than it believed. This is how you build mental toughness, not by avoiding hard things, but by doing hard things over and over until they become normal. Each time you choose discomfort over comfort, you expand your comfort zone just a little bit. Things that used to scare you become manageable. Things that used to exhaust you become routine. You become someone who can handle life's challenges with grace because you have trained yourself to see discomfort as fuel. You have learned that on the other side of every difficult moment is a new level of strength, a new level of confidence, a new level of freedom. So start looking for discomfort in your daily life, not to punish yourself but to practice. Take a cold shower in the morning. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. Wake up 30 minutes earlier than you need to. Take on a project that scares you a little. Each time you do, remind yourself that you are not just enduring this moment. You are investing in your future self. You are building a version of you that is unshakable. You are turning discomfort from something to be avoided into something to be embraced. And that shift, more than almost anything else, will set you free. Chapter 12. Your Body and Mind, the Ultimate Team. It is easy to think of your mind and your body as separate things. You might focus on training your mind through reading and thinking while ignoring your body, or you might focus on your physical fitness while neglecting your mental and emotional health. But the truth is that your mind and your body are not separate at all. They are deeply connected, two parts of one whole system. What you do to your body affects your mind, and what you do to your mind affects your body. If you want to build radical self-discipline, if you want to master your internal compass, you have to treat this whole system with respect. You have to recognize that your body is not just a vehicle carrying your brain around. Your body is your partner, and you need to take care of it. Think about how you feel after a night of terrible sleep. You are groggy, irritable, and unable to focus. Your discipline crumbles. You reach for junk food, you skip your workout, and you snap at people you love. This is your body affecting your mind. Now think about how you feel after a period of high stress. Your shoulders are tight, your stomach is upset, and you are more likely to get sick. This is your mind affecting your body. These connections are real and powerful. You cannot build a disciplined mind in a neglected body any more than you can build a strong body with a scattered, anxious mind. The two must work together as a team. The good news is that small investments in your physical health pay huge dividends in your mental discipline. Getting enough sleep is not just about rest. It is about giving your brain the chance to clear out toxins and consolidate memories. Eating nutritious food is not just about weight. It is about providing your brain with the fuel it needs to think clearly and resist impulses. Moving your body regularly is not just about fitness. It is about releasing stress, boosting mood, and building the neural connections that support focus and willpower. When you take care of your body, you are literally upgrading the hardware that your mind runs on. You do not need to become a professional athlete or a nutrition expert to get these benefits. You just need to pay attention to the basics. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep most nights. Eat food that comes from the ground or had a mother as much as you can. Move your body in a way that feels good, whether that is walking, stretching, lifting, or dancing. Drink enough water throughout the day. These are not complicated or fancy recommendations. They are the fundamental pillars of physical health, and they are also the fundamental pillars of mental discipline. When you are hydrated, rested, nourished, and active, you are simply better equipped to handle whatever life throws at you. It is also important to listen to the signals your body sends you. If you are feeling tired, maybe you need rest, not more coffee. If you are feeling achy, maybe you need to move, not just sit longer. If you are feeling anxious, maybe you need to breathe deeply, not just push through. Your body is constantly communicating with you, trying to tell you what it needs. Most of us have learned to ignore these signals, to push through and override them with caffeine and willpower. But this approach backfires over time. Learning to listen, to respond to your body's needs with kindness, is a form of discipline too. It is the discipline of self-care, and it is just as important as the discipline of pushing hard. So make a commitment to treat your body like the valuable partner it is. Give it what it needs to function well. Pay attention to how different foods, different amounts of sleep, and different kinds of movement affect your mood and your focus. Use that information to make better choices. When you take care of your body, you are not taking time away from your goals. You are investing in your ability to achieve them. You are strengthening the team that will carry you all the way to your true north. And that team, mind and body working together, is unstoppable. Chapter 13. The People You Keep, Building Your Inner Circle. You have probably heard the saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This idea has been repeated so often that it can start to sound like a cliché, but clichés become clichés because they contain a powerful truth. The people around you shape your thoughts, your habits, your standards, and your beliefs in ways you might not even notice. They influence what you talk about, what you complain about, what you aspire to, and what you accept as normal. If you are serious about mastering your internal compass and building a life of radical self-discipline, you have to take a hard look at your inner circle. You have to ask yourself whether the people you keep are lifting you up or dragging you down. Think about the friends you spend the most time with. When you share your goals and dreams with them, how do they respond? Do they get excited for you and ask how they can support you? Or do they roll their eyes and tell you to be realistic? Do they encourage you to grow, or do they make you feel like you are getting too big for your britches? The answers to these questions matter more than you might think. If you are surrounded by people who are content with mediocrity, who complain about their circumstances but never change them, who mock ambition and hard work, their attitudes will seep into you. You will start to lower your standards to match theirs, just to fit in and avoid conflict. This is not about judging other people or thinking you are better than them. It is about being honest about the influence they have on your life. Some people are like sunshine, warming you and helping you grow. Other people are like heavy rain, soaking you and making it hard to move forward. You get to choose who you spend your time with. You get to decide who has access to your energy and your attention. This is one of the most important choices you will ever make. And it is a choice that too many people make passively, just hanging out with whoever happens to be around instead of intentionally building a circle that supports their highest aspirations. Building your inner circle does not mean you have to dump all your old friends and start over. It means you start being more intentional about who you invest your time in. You seek out people who are doing interesting things, who ask good questions, who challenge you to think bigger. You spend more time with the friends who believe in you and less time with the ones who drain you. You join groups or communities related to your interests and goals. You put yourself in environments where growth is the norm, not the exception. Over time, your circle will naturally shift to include more people who inspire and support you. It is also important to think about what kind of friend you are to others. If you want to be surrounded by people who lift you up, you have to be the kind of person who lifts others up. You have to celebrate their wins without jealousy. You have to encourage their dreams without cynicism. You have to be a source of positive energy in their lives. The law of attraction is real in this way. The energy you put out into the world tends to come back to you. If you are a supportive, ambitious, disciplined person, you will attract other supportive, ambitious, disciplined people. It is a virtuous cycle that starts with you. So take an inventory of your relationships. Who energizes you? Who drains you? Who believes in your potential? Who doubts it? Use this information to make small adjustments. Spend a little more time with the energizers and a little less with the drainers. Have honest conversations if you need to. And most importantly, keep growing into the person you want to be. As you grow, your circle will grow with you. You will find your tribe, the people who get it, who get you, and who will walk with you all the way to your true north. Chapter 14, The Daily Compass Check-In, a simple evening ritual. By now, you have learned a lot about your internal compass and how to master it. You understand the tricks your brain plays, the power of small habits, the importance of your environment, and the need for patience and focus. But knowledge is not enough. Knowledge only becomes power when it is applied consistently, and consistency requires a system. It requires a simple, repeatable ritual that keeps you connected to your goals and aware of your progress. This is where the daily compass check-in comes in. It is a short evening ritual that takes just a few minutes, but it has the power to transform your entire life by keeping you on course, day after day. The idea is simple. At the end of each day before you go to sleep, you take a few moments to check in with yourself. You ask a few key questions and you answer them honestly, either in your head or in a journal. This ritual serves multiple purposes. It helps you celebrate your wins, which builds momentum and motivation. It helps you learn from your mistakes, which turns failures into lessons. It helps you stay focused on your priorities, which prevents you from drifting off course. And it helps you go to sleep with a clear mind and a peaceful heart, ready to tackle the next day with renewed energy. The first question you might ask is, what went well today? This is not about bragging or being arrogant. It is about training your brain to notice the good things, the small victories that are easy to overlook. Maybe you woke up when your alarm rang. Maybe you finished a task you had been avoiding. Maybe you were patient with someone who annoyed you. Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Give yourself credit. This practice builds self-confidence and reinforces the behaviors you want to repeat. It reminds you that you are making progress, even on days when it does not feel like it. The second question is, what could I have done better? This is not about beating yourself up. It is about honest, gentle reflection. Maybe you wasted time on your phone when you could have been working. Maybe you snapped at a family member for no good reason. Maybe you skipped your workout because you felt tired. Look at these moments with curiosity, not judgment. Ask yourself why they happened. What was going on? What could you do differently next time? This is how you learn and grow. This is how you turn mistakes into wisdom. The third question is, what is my main priority for tomorrow? This simple act of setting an intention before you sleep is incredibly powerful. It means you wake up already knowing what matters most. You do not have to spend the first hour of your day figuring out what to do. You already decided. You can just get started. This removes decision fatigue and makes it much more likely that you will actually do the important thing. It also plants the priority in your subconscious mind, which will work on it while you sleep, often generating ideas and solutions by morning. The final part of the ritual is simply to take a few deep breaths and let go of the day. Whatever happened, good or bad, it is over. You cannot change it. All you can do is learn from it and move forward. This release is essential for good sleep and for starting the next day fresh. You do not want to carry yesterday's frustrations into today. You want to be fully present for whatever comes next. So breathe, let go, and trust that tomorrow is a new opportunity to follow your compass. This entire ritual takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It is not a huge time commitment, but done consistently, it is like a daily recalibration of your internal navigation system. It keeps you pointed toward true north. It helps you catch small drifts before they become big problems. It turns the abstract idea of self-discipline into a concrete daily practice. It becomes the heartbeat of your growth, the quiet moment each evening where you reconnect with yourself and recommit to your journey. Chapter 15. Becoming the person who just does it. We have covered a lot of ground together in this book. You have learned about the tricks your brain plays and how to outsmart them. You have discovered the power of small habits and the importance of designing your environment. You have practiced talking to yourself like a champion and protecting your energy with the art of no. You have learned to embrace failure as feedback and discomfort as fuel. You have explored the connection between your body and mind and the influence of the people around you. You have even picked up a simple evening ritual to keep yourself on track. All of this knowledge is valuable, but now it is time for the final and most important shift. It is time to stop thinking about discipline as something you do and start thinking about it as something you are. This is the difference between having a habit and having an identity. When discipline is just a habit, it is something you have to force yourself to do. It is a battle every time. You wake up and negotiate with yourself about whether you will work out today. You sit down and argue with yourself about whether you will focus. This constant negotiation is exhausting, and it leaves you vulnerable to giving up when you are tired or stressed. But when discipline becomes part of your identity, when you see yourself as a disciplined person, the negotiation disappears. You do not wake up and decide whether to work out. You are someone who works out, so you just do it. You do not debate whether to focus. You are someone who focuses, so you close the distractions and get to work. This shift might sound subtle, but it is actually massive. It changes the entire game. Instead of relying on willpower and motivation, which come and go, you are relying on your sense of self, which is stable and enduring. When you have integrated discipline into your identity, it becomes automatic. It becomes just what you do. And the beautiful thing is that you can start building this identity right now with your very next choice. Every time you make the disciplined choice, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. You are sending yourself a message. You are saying, I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who does the hard thing. I am the kind of person who respects their future self. These votes accumulate over time. At first, your identity might feel shaky, like a costume you are trying on. You might feel like a fraud when you call yourself disciplined because your history shows something different, but keep casting votes. Keep making the disciplined choice. Eventually, the weight of all those votes will overwhelm the old evidence. Your new identity will become solid and real. You will look back and realize that you are not the same person who started this journey. You have become someone new. You have become the person who just does it. This does not mean you will never have hard days. Even the most disciplined people have moments of weakness, but those moments no longer define them. They are just bumps in the road, not changes in direction. When you are rooted in a disciplined identity, you recover from slips faster. You do not question who you are just because you had a bad day. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. And you keep moving forward because that is what people like you do. So as we come to the end of this chapter, I want you to make a decision. Decide right now who you are going to be from this moment forward. Not who you have been, but who you are choosing to become. Write it down if it helps. Say it out loud. I am a disciplined person. I follow through on my commitments. I respect my internal compass and I follow its direction. This is not a wish. This is a statement of fact about your future self. And starting today, you will live into that statement with every choice you make. You will become the person who just does it. Conclusion. We have reached the end of this journey together, but please do not think of it as an ending. Think of it as a beginning, a launch point for the rest of your life. You now have the blueprint. You understand that radical self-discipline is not about punishment or rigid rules. It is about freedom. It is about freeing yourself from the tyranny of your old habits, your limiting beliefs, and your fear of discomfort. It is about clearing away the noise so you can finally hear the quiet, steady voice of your internal compass. That voice knows where you want to go. It has always known. Now you have the tools to follow it. You know how to start small, how to design your world for victory, how to talk to yourself with kindness, and how to get back up when you fall. You know that patience is your superpower and that your body and mind must work as a team. You know that the people around you matter and that a simple daily ritual can keep you on track. Most importantly, you know that discipline is not just something you do. It is something you become. So go ahead and become it. Not perfectly, not all at once, but one choice at a time. Today, make the choice that your future self will thank you for. Tomorrow, make it again. When you stumble, forgive yourself quickly and get back on the path. When you succeed, celebrate quietly and keep moving. Your internal compass is pointing toward a life of meaning, purpose, and genuine fulfillment. It is pointing toward the person you have always known you could be. That person is not somewhere off in the distant future. That person is being built right now in this moment by the choices you make. So take a deep breath, stand up tall, and take the first step. Your journey is waiting for you. It starts now.